Hello and welcome to Bowser Sports. Today we're going to hit on the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback situation. Should the Steelers sign Justin Fields or do they risk it and wait for the draft and go after Jaxson Dart of Ole Miss? And so, as you can see here on the screen, we're really going to focus on these two options and I'll explain why. Based on reporting from DK Pittsburgh Sports and subsequently after, it's come out that the Steelers are highly unlikely to re-sign Russell Wilson for a variety of reasons. Most notably, I think, is his play on the field those last 5 games of the season, but also postseason, and sounds like his agents typically again went and blamed everyone else except Russ. And so I think you're going to see the Steelers likely go after and re-sign Justin Fields, I think, as the QB1. They do need a similar coach style quarterback as the backup as QB2. They do have Skylar Thompson, but I view him as more as your number 3. And so the Steelers do need to find a starting quarterback. They need a backup quarterback. And in the backup quarterback realm, I think from the mobile quarterback perspective, you've got Marcus Mariota, Drew Lock, Daniel Jones, Trey Lance, and Tyler Huntley. So the pickings aren't great. I think from a veteran perspective, Mariota would probably be your best option. If you're looking for someone who's younger, hasn't had great success, you're probably looking at Drew Lock or Daniel Jones. Jones's name is probably not going to be the last time you hear this. I suspect if Fields does not sign by the opening of free agency here shortly, Jones is definitely is a name you're going to start to hear. As that short-term guy getting a chance. I think if that happens, you're probably going down the route of Jones 1 year, maybe sign another quarterback like Trey Lance or Tyler Huntley, and you get down that path. But I think the most feasible option is actually possibly going after someone like Drew Lock, hasn't had great success in the NFL. We'll be looking for that chance to say, here's your shot, kid. You're going to be our starter. The first 4 weeks of the season, you own it and you do well, you're going to stay in. We're going to draft this quarterback, Jaxson Dart, out of Ole Miss, and give him an opportunity to sit and learn and not rush him into the game action. That is probably, I think, the most likely option here if Fields is not re-signed. And it's not a guaranteed he's going to resign, right? He could say he wants to be back and may feel that, but his agent gets, as we are getting closer to the free agency, could be saying, just wait, give it a few more weeks. Let's see what the market bears out there. And that comes with a negative, right? Maybe, the Steelers are saying, they're thinking of $10 million per season over, 2-year deal, right? Fields Camp's probably looking more in the 15 to 20. So you got probably a $5 to $10 million gap between the two sides, which is probably why there's not a deal. And so if I do think Fields will eventually sign, I think he would be mistaken to go on the market, with his only 5 starts last year, 6 starts last year with a 4-2 record. He only had 5 touchdown passes. Yeah, he did have an improvement with the 1 interception for 1,106 yards. He added in 62 rushes for 289 on the ground, and he did have 5 touchdowns. And you did see a lot of that in comparison to Fields' play versus Wilson, especially in those last 5-6 weeks of the season. The offensive line was really, in my opinion, really no different. James Daniels out, yeah, but I think the offensive line was what it was for the most part. And so You saw the mobility of Fields moving in the pocket, sliding to his left, sliding to his right, moving up. He didn't wait for the pocket to collapse. And too often, this last 5 weeks of the season, we saw Wilson unable to really get through his progressions with the defense around him collapsing. The offensive line really was no different from beginning to end of the season. Poor offensive line play. Again, can't completely blame that in the quarterback, but you got to be able to slide, step, move, and throw. And I just don't think Wilson was that type of quarterback. I do think Fields showed good progression. He was getting better of escaping the pocket and keeping his eyes downfield for outlets. We saw that especially with his work against the Colts in a losing effort in that road game. So I think Fields is definitely one that we'll see get those opportunities as we progress here into the off season. I think he will sign, but for some reason, if it doesn't happen, I do think Jaxson Dart is the target. Now, does that come at 21? Do the Steelers decide to fall back in the draft and draft someone in the late first round and pick up another draft pick? That might be a strategic thing they decide to do, is not to stay at 21 because no one behind them was probably looking for a quarterback, and they stay in the range to do that. What they do need to figure out is if a team in the early part of the rounds decides not to go quarterback and then potentially tries to move up, you got to be mindful of that team that moves up could try to move up ahead of you. So I don't see a big move out of 21, maybe to 25-ish. Just a few spots to ensure that they are, going to get their guy if they decide that, at 20, in their first round pick, I should say, is going to be a quarterback. That quarterback is no doubt going to be, in my opinion, Jaxson Dart. He had an outstanding 3-year career at Ole Miss. He first started out at USC, but his 3 years was pretty impressive. And last year he finished with 4,279 yards passing, 29 touchdowns, 6 interceptions out of 398 pass attempts. So pretty good ratio there. He's got good size. He's 6'2", 225. The Kenny Pickett number stat here is he's got 9.5 inch hands. We'll see at the combine where that comes out to. He's very mobile. I mean, he's just as big as Justin Fields. Very mobile, good speed. I think he had like a 60-some yard rushing touchdown in his career. I think it was last season though, season before. So, but this past season though, in 24, he finished just under 500 yards with 495 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. So he's got mobility. He did lead the nation in touchdown throws of 20 or more yards in the air with 17. He's got a really good deep ball. His deep ball isn't just one of those floaters like Wilson throws up and the moon ball, right? He actually has good accuracy and velocity onto his throws, even deep. And so that is good. And one thing that to note here is against the blitz, he was 11 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 129.6. So he did really well, and that is something the Steelers need to identify in their next quarterback, as someone who can pick up the blitz and make the quick first read. And granted, as a negative and a knock against Dart, that if that first read's not there, he struggles, and that'll be something he'll need to progress with. But when you see a stat like that, him being surrounded by hopefully more elite talent at the wide receiver position, hopefully Steelers pick up a wide receiver in free agency and maybe even draft another one so they have a strong core 4 or 5 to put pressure onto Roman Wilson and team around that position there. So yeah, we'll see. But I'm a pretty big believer in Dart, and I think he's the way to go. If you decide Justin Fields is too expensive, I think you just target the quarterback and get a veteran like Mariota or Locke or Daniel Jones to play the first half of the season, or at least compete and make Dart earn that role. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you got any comments, leave a comment. If you like this episode, please give us a like. And it's free to do, so hopefully click that subscribe button, and we'll hope to have you again. With that, enjoy your day.